Once you log into the Kali Linux, you need to launch Metasploitable Linux, launch Firefox from start menu. From menu, drag an icon, search for Firefox. So you'll see the Firefox icon, click on that. Then you should be able to launch the Firefox browser like this. Type the IP address of Metasploitable Linux. So there are a lot of applications, 5 applications are there. Click on DBWA. What are the username and password for DBWA? Admin is the username, password is password. Login. Once you log in, then ensure DBWA security is set to low, like this. Submit. So far we have done file inclusions, command injection, command execution, then brute force yet to do. SQL injection is done. Upload is done. Class size script reflected, class size script stored. These are done. I have given the assignment for blind SQL injection vulnerability. Okay. So we need to try for OS command injection, SQL injection vulnerability, and then LFI. Try it out for another 5 minutes and see if you are able to find out some vulnerabilities. Yes or no. Okay. Your time starts now. SQL map, everyone has done it, right? Or any doubts? SQL map not coming. We'll see that. Found any vulnerabilities across that functionality? Anyone? SQL injection vulnerability. We discussed that we need to provide payloads which can cause some kind of issue for the database queries in the backend. And one vulnerability is just straightforward. That was there even in the SQL injection tab, and even it should be there even for the SQL injection blind. What is the issue? What is the payload you want to try? 1 or 1 is equal to 1. Remember, very important payload this is for SQL injection vulnerability. 1 or 1 is equal to 1. Already I told you, like, this specific payload will remove the filter where condition. That condition will be always true. Okay. So like that, we are getting all the details. We are getting all the details from the database. So this is one vulnerability. Along with that, there is one more vulnerability, but the thing is that we cannot get any kind of error message here. Click on submit. In case of normal SQL injection, you are able to get some error message. Here, we are not getting error message. The reason is developers would have suppressed the code. Suppressed the code in the sense, they would have written the code like, for any kind of SQL related errors, don't throw the message like that. The code has been written like that. But however, with the help of some conditions, okay, we know SQL queries, we know how it works. With the help of some kind of SQL keywords or queries, we should be able to figure out based on the conditions. For example, ID is equal to 3 and operation with 4 is equal to 4. Everyone knows, right, how this AND operation works. For the AND to be successful or to be the output as true, the left hand side has to be true and right hand side to be true. If it is false, at least one is false, then the output is false. Okay. So this specific condition 4 is equal to 4 is true or false? X is equal to X, is it true or false? That is true. Okay. So both are true, then only the output will be true in the case of AND condition. So I'm trying to put true conditions here, and then let me copy for a backup. Submit. How come we didn't get any output? It is a true condition, we should be able to get the output. Okay, we are able to get 2 and 4 is equal to 5. Here also we are getting the output. Somehow conditions are not true. We are not framing the conditions correctly. Let us see. 3 single quote and 4 is equal to 4. This condition is completely correct. We should be able to get the output. You provide false condition, something like 4 is equal to 5. You should not get the output. That's how it should work. This condition is true. 3 and 4 is equal to 4. This is a true condition. 3, 4 is equal to 4. We are not getting the output. 4 is equal to 5. False condition, we should not get the output. 4 is equal to 4. True condition, we should get the output. But it's not happening. Something wrong. So in case of blind SQL injection, right, we don't get any error message. But based on the behavior of the application, we should confirm that there is a vulnerability or not. Let me try some time-based payloads. Time-based payloads means, remember a command, sleep of 10, hash. What you have to remember? You have to remember this keyword, sleep. Sleep means, can anyone tell me what it does for in the database? In general, in programming, sleep, wait, delay. Basically, you are going to pause some request or response for some amount of time. That is the purpose of sleep. Let us see the normal conditions, how it works. I mean to say, when you provide normal ID is equal to 1, how it is going to work out? When you add sleep of 10, sleep of 10, sleep of 10 or sleep of 5, some kind of delay, how the application is responding. Okay, right click, inspect element, network, then you give 1, submit. What is the time taken for getting the response for this request? This is a request, right? Okay. And okay, 1 second. Right click, inspect element, click on network, put ID is equal to 1, submit. ID is equal to 1 or 2 or whatever it is, submit. Let me scroll it little left hand side. This is a request. You see the column 54 milliseconds. The time taken to process this request is 54 milliseconds. You are able to see. But when you try to add some delay for the same two single quote and sleep of 10 hash. So I'm trying to add a delay for the request and see how long it is going to take. Are you getting immediately? Are we getting the response immediately or it is taking some time? What is the time taken to process this request? Can anyone tell me by looking at the screen? How many seconds it has taken or how many milliseconds it has taken? Exact duration. It has taken 10,062 milliseconds, right? Which is equivalent to 10 plus seconds. So if I give you, if they give the command like instead of 10, I give 20. Again, the response will be delayed by 20 seconds. Check that. Everyone knows what is meant by integer, right? Out of 1.2, 1.4, 1, 2.5. Which one is integer? 1.2, 1.3, 1, 2.5. Which one is integer out of that list? Okay. Yes. Fine. So I have given a delay of 20 seconds. So for the actual response time, it is adding the additional 20 seconds to get the response. You are able to see it in the inspect network tab. Ideally, this application should accept only integers, but I am trying to give some additional characters and able to get the response. So do you think the application is responding to my keywords or comments? Yes or no? What do you think? Is it responding or not? The application is responding to our payloads. Whatever the additional payloads I'm giving, it is considering this payload. So the application is vulnerable or not? I can replace this code, this condition with any of the other values. It can be used by the attackers to retrieve some sensitive data. I'll send you some links for this. Maybe you have to go through that. Okay. This is called time-based blind SQL injection. Understood? Even the Boolean based, the one whatever I'm trying now, this is called Boolean based. We didn't get the response for 4 is equal to 5. 4 is equal to 4. We are getting the response. Yeah, it is working even for the Boolean based. So when the condition, if the condition is true, right hand side condition is true, we are able to get the response. If the condition is false, we are not able to get the response. That's it. Very simple. This is the false condition. We should not get any output. Okay. So these are the two types of blind SQL injection vulnerability. One is Boolean based, other one is uh, time based. So what we have to remember out of this, we need to remember the payloads. What is a payload that is used for blind SQL injection, that is time-based SQL injection vulnerability? Can anyone tell me? What is the payload we have used for time-based SQL injection vulnerability? So sleep. Remember the keyword sleep, and one more time-based payload is wait for delay. How do you prevent SQL injection vulnerabilities? So far, we have discussed about SQL injection blind, different types of SQL injection vulnerabilities. How do you stop? What do you recommend for the developers so that we can stop this SQL injection vulnerability? Very important question. Every interview, this kind of questions will be asked. Can I get some answers? First one. Can we use right now we are able to perform SQL injection vulnerability because I am trying to send single quote, hash, double quote, these characters. Is there any approach what we can do? We can block those characters, right? Should we follow whitelisting or blacklisting? Whitelisting is good approach or blacklisting is good approach? Whitelisting is the good approach. Okay. Whitelisting means you allow whatever is the accepted extension. What is the accepted extension? .jpeg. Okay. In this case, it should be only integers. I accept only numbers. If there is anything other than number like single quote, special character, hash, I don't accept it. So sanitize input sanitization or input filtering. This we have to perform, but the approach is whitelisting, input filtering or input sanitization. What is the other way of preventing SQL injection vulnerability? Parameterized queries. Parameterized queries. What do you mean by parameterized queries? Don't directly take the input and provide it to the queries in the backend. What we do is, so these parameterized queries will work like a variable. Does anyone know what is meant by variables in programming language? I'm providing the value of integer 2. Directly don't take 2 and then put it in the statements. You assign some variables, x is equal to 2, and do some validations. Okay, x is equal to 2 and it is an integer data type. Then pass this x to the statements. So this is how these parameterized queries will work. Okay, this is one more mechanism to stop SQL injection vulnerability. The third one is prepared statements. Prepared statements comes with the framework. Whatever is the framework we are using, no? Is it a Java framework or .NET? Based on that, you need to define this. Okay, the statement like this: prepared statement. First, define the statement. Prepared statement x is equal to something like, we have to put like this: select star from users where id is equal to question mark. How is this prepared statements is going to work? It is not going to club anything with this statement. It will treat like whatever is the question mark you are providing, that will be treated like a data. So you need to define these prepared statements. This is one more mechanism to stop SQL injection vulnerability. The last one, you implement WAF, web application firewall. What is meant by firewall? Already we discussed. What is the functionality of the firewall? Does it stop any suspicious packets or not? What do you think? Suspicious packets requests. Yes, it will stop some suspicious packets. So how it is going to stop? If someone tries to run some queries or tries to inject some elements with single quote, double quote, this WAF will be there between. Okay, I'll tell you. Here we have the users. See the diagram? Here we have the list of users, and here is the website. Website is ultramutual.com. I'll tell you some places where exactly you need to put the firewall. Should we put the some of the possible options are, I'll put behind the website. This is the first option. I'm giving you just this is the first option. Second option is between app server and DB server. Third option is between the user and the website. 1, 2, 3. One is between users and website. The second is between the website and app server. The first one is between the website and app server and DB. Where should we put the WAF, web application firewall? 1 or 2 or 3? Very easy and silly question, I guess. The question is like this: we want to enforce some security guards for one building. Should we arrange the chair for him at outside of the building or in the manager room or in the cast room? Like this. Definitely the security guard should be outside of the building. What is the use in case if he goes and sits in the manager cubicle or CEO cubicle? So The second one is CEO cubicle. First one is manager cubicle, and third option. So exactly between the users and the website, we need the web application firewall. Why do we need it? Say some users send some suspicious packets. They are trying to send single quote. They are trying to send sleep. So the automatically the WAF, which is located between users and website, it has to drop the request. Dropping means it will not allow the request to hit the website. That is a suspicious website forged request. It will drop that request or drop the packet. Okay. This is the importance of web application firewall. Is it clear? Input sanitization, parameterized queries, prepared statements, and web application firewall. Of course, database patching and updates. If you don't perform proper database updates, that is also a problem. And even default schema tables or default settings. Default settings should be override or keep it as it is. What do you think? Should we change the default settings? Yes or no? Yes, change it. No, don't change it. Remember, each and every application or server or node or device, we should always overwrite the changes, default settings. Okay. Similarly, even for database SQL injection vulnerabilities, we should not keep the default settings. We should change with some custom settings. These are the ways how you prevent SQL injection vulnerability. How do you prevent cross-site script? I need some answers from you. How do you prevent cross-site script? One answer. What are the payloads we are using for cross-site script? Divya Krishna, enabling URL, encoding URL. Okay. Divya Shravani, script alert. Okay, that is a payload. So how do you stop it? How do you stop this kind of payloads? The first one in SQL injection vulnerability. What is that? Input sanitization. Does this applicable even for cross-site script? What do you think? Definitely. We are getting some special characters like less than, greater than, colon. So input filtering or input sanitization. This is also one mechanism to stop cross-site script. Second one, then some of the use cases are like you need to allow special characters, but it should not execute on the client side. That is called output encoding. Input filtering, output encoding. This is also one more mechanism to stop cross-site script. Example is URL encode or URL decode. I'll show you how to encode and decode in further sessions. Okay. Then content security policy. Content security also we'll discuss it in some other session. Okay. And there is a header called HTTP response header x- cross-site script protection. This header should be one. Remember, these are the ways how you can protect from cross-site script vulnerabilities. Clickjacking. How do you prevent clickjacking? Clickjacking vulnerability. How do you prevent it? Remember or forgot? What is a header? I want the header name that we are going to set. Header name and value. I'm getting the value, but what is the header name? That is the important thing which you have to remember. Chandrika, Ishwar, Aparna. X-frame, Sheikh. You remember? Forgot first week sessions. X-frame options. So what is this value? Either deny or same origin. These values you have to set if you want to prevent clickjacking vulnerability. Okay. Then file uploads, we have already gone through the prevention mechanism or secure design for file uploads. Any other vulnerabilities we discussed? Okay. Voice command injection is there. That will take it later. You'll not be able to understand now. Are you guys familiar with all the threads? Are we good now? If I ask you a payload for any kind of vulnerability, you should be in a position to answer that. Payloads for different vulnerabilities and prevention mechanism for different vulnerabilities. We'll go through the quiz. It has been a long time, right? Are you guys ready? Or you need time? Okay. CSP stands for Content Security Policy. Content Security Policy. Okay. I'm giving you 2 minutes of time. Just revise the vulnerabilities. The quiz is on the threats. Okay. Different kinds of vulnerabilities you have learned. You need to reply only to me. Don't reply to anyone. Whatever is the theory we have covered on SQL injection vulnerability, I'm going to share this document to you. Remember, this is only for internal and only for our students. Don't forward it to anyone. Basically, it gives the definition of each and every vulnerability. Okay. And how do you prevent it? And what are the commands we have used? If you talk about web server hacking, these are the commands: unpatched software, default settings, misconfiguration. And how did you exploit it? Do you remember? MS17010, eternal blue, those commands. Then how do we prevent it? Then file uploads. What are the different examples you try for file uploads? Exploitation. How did you try for exploitation for file uploads? Then what are the different mechanisms to stop the file upload vulnerability? Whitelisting, randomizing, so many things are there. Similarly for SQL injection. Let me see if I have the PPT instead of the PDF. Okay, that's good. So I want someone to read the definition of SQL injection vulnerability. Who wants to read this? Unmute and speak. Today, I want you guys to read these statements, and I would expect one of you to even give the explanation for each. Unmute and then speak up. Just read the definition of SQL injection vulnerability. First person. Divya Stavani. Go ahead.
SQL injection. A SQL injection is a type of security exploit in which the attacker sends crafted SQL queries to the web application in the input fields or URL to gain unauthorized access to read, update, delete from the database.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So that's what we have did, right? We are trying to exploit it, and for the exploitation, what we are trying to do, crafted SQL queries. What do you mean by crafted? Crafted means modified ones. We are trying to modify a few details so that we are trying to do unauthorized access either to read or update or delete from the database. Okay, this is what SQL injection vulnerability. You can make your own definition. The final understanding should be the same, or you can just directly say like attacker sends SQL injection payloads for retrieving sensitive data from the database. That's it. Simple exam, simple answer. In case if you don't want to put all these things, or if you want to by heart this definition, that is also fine. Now the next person, what you have to do is there are different types of SQL injection vulnerabilities: in-band, union-based, tautology, end of line. These are all the in-band SQL injection vulnerabilities. And piggybacking queries, blind SQL injection vulnerabilities, we have boolean-based, time-based. Now the challenge is you need to give the example for each type. It is already there in the screen. Along with that, you need to tell me in the DVW application where you have found this kind of vulnerability. I mean to say instance where you have found this. Can anyone tell me? First one, error-based. Where did we see this error-based SQL injection vulnerability? Unmute and give the answers. Muni, you want to go ahead? We are not able to hear you. No, I want it. You guys has to speak, not in the chat window. Give a try, need not be correct, because unless you speak, you will not be able to get familiar with this terminology. Total 133 members are there. Leaving Hackerbook Urmila 132. Come on, guys. Should I call out names then? You need to tell me where you have found this error-based SQL
Oh,
injection.
so can I?
Yes, go ahead, Anita.
Yes. So error-based SQL injection, we found it in a SQL injection vulnerability.
What
So
is the
when we give a
application? Go ahead, go ahead.
DVW application,
Okay.
so when we try with the ID 1 or 2, it gives a data related to that ID. When we try with a 1 and any character like single quote or double quote, we'll get an error.
Okay, that's how we confirm the error-based SQL injection vulnerability. So perfect. So the same explanation you have to give in interviews. They will ask you like, how do you test for SQL injection vulnerability? I look for some parameters or dynamic parameters like ID, customer ID, order ID. Then instead of providing normal values like 4 or 5 or 6, I try to append with some special characters for these values, 4 single quote, 4 double quote, like that. Then look for some error message related to SQL injection. This is called error-based SQL injection vulnerability. Same explanation you have to give. You can read this, you can go through this video and repeat the answers as it is, and you can go ahead. Okay. Next one, union-based SQL injection vulnerability. I want someone else to read this and check which application and how did you try this. Let me start with A. Akhil, Anita has done, Anuradha, Anusha, Aparna, Afsana, Arun Kumar, Balamurli Krishna. Yes, out of 7. Anyone wants to explain this? Where did you see this kind of issue? Union-based SQL injection vulnerability? No one.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Ravendra. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, the application is DVWA.
Okay.
So, in SQL injection, the actually for a SQL injection, first we have to find vulnerability. Once we find, sorry, once we find the SQL, once we find the vulnerability, then we have to find total number of columns. To find total number of columns, we use union select statement.
Okay.
So which column is like total number of columns, like?
Yes, exactly. Fair enough, Ravendra.
Yeah, thank you.
We have clubbed 2 statements, you remember, for DVW exploitation. So union select we have used to check the vulnerable column. Okay. As part of that, in the interviews, don't mention DVW application. That is just for your practice purpose we have used it. And in the real time, instead of DVWA, they'll give some banking website or insurance website or government website, whatever it is. You need to try these payloads. Okay, fair enough. The next one is tautology. Where did we see this issue? How it is going to work? Who wants to give the explanation for it? Unmute and then speak up. You guys are not ready for the job then. Okay.
Hi, sir.
Conditional operator.
Go ahead. Dell, I don't know the name. You can tell your name and then give the explanation for it.
Mallikarjuna.
Go ahead, Malikarjuna.
Yeah, this is yeah,
Actually, you logged in from laptop and also
yes,
from mobile, I guess. I'm getting this sound. You reduce the sound in your laptop completely.
yes.
Yeah, use only mobile now and then answer. Go ahead, Malikarjuna. Okay, we are not able to hear you. That's okay, Malikarjuna. Next person, anyone? Tautology we have used when you try to give 1 or 1 is equal to 1, the condition becomes true. Okay. Say, for example, you want to get some user details, or you want to get some order details, or you want to get some exam results. Normally, you have to provide ID is equal to 1. Instead of ID is equal to 1 or username is equal to Hari, you give Hari or condition 1 is equal to 1. So that is the example of tautology, right? End of line comments. You need to break this statement. Do you remember double hyphen plus? We need to give that to frame a proper request. Okay. So that is called end of line statements. The next one, piggybacking queries. We haven't tried in this scenario, but you end the statement with colon. After that, you try to put some more columns. Okay, semicolon. That is like colon, then drop table users. We are trying to delete some table users. Sometimes it may work. This is the example of piggybacking queries. Blind SQL injection. What are the symptoms of blind SQL injection? Blank page, or you get a generic message like we are not able to process your request. These are the outputs of blind SQL injection. We can confirm that. And the categories under blind SQL injection are Boolean based and time based. Just now we have discussed. Then out of band. This we'll discuss it later. Basically, attacker injects the payloads in a web page, but the response will not be getting it in the web page itself. The response will be retrieved through some remote attacker system. So he tries to make use of some of the executables or stored procedures in the database backend. I'll give you some labs for it. You have to practice for out of band. And how do you exploit it? The commands also I have given it here. This PDF document, I'll be sharing it under references folder. Okay. And the remediation mechanisms. That's it. Okay. This is what I want to cover. I will go through the quiz. Okay, Hari, you can drop out from the meeting. Remember, reply only to me. Don't reply to everyone. Okay. For the quiz. Let me see how many of you can score 90%. First question, list one example for SQL injection payload. We have discussed a lot of SQL injection types, right? Give me one example for this. Another 30 seconds. Lot of payloads you can give. Single quote, double quote, 1 or 1 is equal to 1. Okay. Union select, order by. These are the payloads for SQL injection vulnerability. Second question. List one example for cross-site script payload. 2 minutes to go. When I say the payload, it should be the complete syntax. Okay. Don't say image, iframe like that. You should have the starting tag, ending tag. How do you define that tag? What are the CSS attributes? It should be the complete answer. Okay. The example for cross-site script is lot of tags, lot of elements we have used. You can go, you can answer any of these things. Script or image or iframe or link. Yes, all of you are correct. If you can't remember image or iframe, you have to remember simple alert script alert of script. Okay. Error based SQL injection displays error in the web page. Is it true or false? Just now we discussed. Error based SQL injections, the name itself will tell it has to display the error in the web page. So the statement is true. Okay. The next one, list one example for command injection payload. Command injection payload, yesterday we discussed: colon, netstat, hostname, id, etc/pass wd. These are the examples of command injection payload. If you are able to answer this specific which 8 out of 10, I'm sure you are equivalent to 5 years of experience guy in a cyber security. You should be able to crack any kind of interviews. So below are the answers. Okay, hostname, netstat, ARP, hostname, netstat, colon, directory, pass wd. What are the 3 types of SQL injection attacks on a high level? Last 5 seconds. 3 types of SQL injection attacks on high level are in-band. In-band you can say like even error based. Then blind. Under blind we have time based and boolean based. The last one is out of band. Okay. These are the 3 types of SQL injection vulnerabilities. Next question. Blind SQL injection vulnerability doesn't display any error in the web page, and there is no vulnerability in the page. Is it true or false? Blind SQL injection doesn't display any error in the web page. That is true. Okay. And there is no vulnerability in the page. Does it mean like there is no vulnerability? there is a vulnerability. Okay, so the statement is false. Overall statement, if you see, it is a false. What are the three types of cross-site script attacks? So far, we have covered two types. You can just mention those two types of cross-site script. The third one, I'll tell you now. The two types of cross-site script which we discussed so far are reflected, stored. These two we have covered. There is one more type, that is DOM-based cross-site script, document object model. That we'll see it later. Okay. But remember these three types: reflected, stored, and DOM-based. Which of the cross-site script gets stored in the server and gets executes in multiple systems or multiple clients? Last 30 seconds. You need to use some logic here. Okay. Which of the following cross-site script payload gets stored in the server and executes in multiple clients? Reflected doesn't get stored in the server, right? Actually, stored cross-site script, the payload gets stored, but buffer overflow, the third option, is not related to cross-site script. Error-based SQL injection, this is not a cross-site script, it is an SQL injection vulnerability. Only option that is left with is persistence. Remember, stored cross-site script is also called persistence cross-site script. The correct answer is B. You need to eliminate the wrong ones so that you get the correct answer. That is a magic. You know, right? Everyone would have attempted some multiple choice questions, competitive exams. Which of the tool detects SQL injection vulnerabilities through automated process? We have learned some tools, expecting correct answer from everyone. Which of the tool detects SQL injection vulnerabilities through automated process? Nmap, Gmap, SQL map, Netcat. Yesterday we practiced SQL map, right? C is the correct answer. What is the Linux terminal command to start Metasploit framework that is used for exploitation? Which is the correct answer? A, B, C, or D? Last 1 minute. So the correct answer is first one, MSF console. Yes, one of the correct answers. Metasploit framework, no. MSF console -Q. That is in quiet mode. You can start the Metasploit framework. You have to try it out one time. Okay, so the correct answer is A and C. Option D is the correct one. What are the secure options for the header to avoid clickjacking vulnerability? What is the correct answer here? Whatever I discussed in today's session, right? You are done with 70% of the interview questions. If you are trying for the job, you can put your profile after a week. Just practice some of the vulnerabilities, payloads. That's it. You are ready for the job. They'll ask you like, how do you test? What is that vulnerability? How do you prevent? What are the options to prevent? That's what we have learned for most of the vulnerabilities related to web. And some tools we are going to discuss it in today, not today, tomorrow or in the weekend. Okay. Tomorrow I'm going to cover one tool. Don't miss the tomorrow session. Correct answer is, what are the secure options for the header to avoid clickjacking vulnerability? The correct answer is A and B. It is not D. A and B. That is option C is the correct answer. What is the best vulnerability you have found in your experience and why it is special? This is an interview question. Just keep in mind, okay, and be prepared for this question. Out of 11, how many of you have scored 11 out of 11? I would see 30 to 40 members. Anything 7 and above is good. Reply to everyone and then post your score. 7, 11, 9, 9, 9, 10, 11, 7. Anything 7 and above is good. Okay. Below 7 means you are not listening to my class. Below 7. What is the time? 8:57. Okay. Today we extended for 5 minutes. Thank you so much, guys. Very good. All of you are doing good. Another 2 weeks, we will be done with most of the concepts. And then we get into the mobile security and API security. Don't miss any of the sessions before you go for the jobs. Okay. Fine then. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Ensure Kali Linux is with you for tomorrow's session. Kali Linux. Some tools I'm going to explain.